Wow, it's been a while, huh? I know I haven't posted a review in over a year? Damn. I'm really sorry about this, but a lot of stuff came up and I naturally had to take care of that first before I could sit down to make this video. Blah blah blah, I know you don't care, so without further ado, let's just jump right into the most beloved entry of the Zero series, Mega Man 03. So like, grab a Coke or something, cause I have no idea how long this video is gonna be yet. Planning is as top notch as always. I'll keep this as brief as possible and only mention the most important plot points to not make the story summary like 20 minutes long on its own. 2 months after the events of the second game, a crashed spaceship emits energy similar to that of the Dark Elf from the previous game. So naturally, the Resistance base sends out Zero, CL and a squad of nameless soldiers to investigate. As soon as Zero dashes onward to take a closer look inside the spaceship, CL and the Resistance soldiers instantly get attacked since apparently they can't even defend themselves for like 2 seconds without Zero being there. They are lucky though, as a giant Reploid mysteriously named Omega infiltrates the spaceship along with the new villain Dr. Vale? I don't know. Who was briefly teased at the end of the second game, and a rebuilt Copy X with a heavy speech impediment. Does that make Copy X? Copy X? A few stages later, a missile is launched, killing thousands of people, which leads Zero to directly confront Copy X. He, yet again, beats him, and right before Copy X can transform to his final form, he explodes into a bunch of pieces of scrap metal due to Vale having planted a bomb inside of him, effectively betraying him and ridding Neo Arcadia of its leader yet again. Copy X really doesn't get a break, does he? But luckily, good guy Dr. Vale, I don't fucking know, is there to take Neo Arcadia's throne in X's name. With Omega and the power of the Dark Elf on his side, which Omega stole right after nuking the city, he takes control of all Reploids, basically having won the war. Well, if it weren't for Zero, that is. Zero, being the badass he is, destroys the 2 baby elves and heads out to defeat Omega and the Dark Elf once and for all. Which he does twice. But then a sudden plot twist emerges from the remnants of Omega's destroyed body, and the aforementioned plot twist takes the form of Omega Zero. That's right, Omega returns, now in Zero's supposed original body, informing Zero that indeed he is but a mere copy and not the original. Zero, that is, not Omega. You see, the real X then appears, telling Zero that they fought together against Omega a century ago, and they sealed him, and that what Omega said was true. Zero is the real Zero, just in a copy body, while Omega took the real body of Zero. You get all that? It's kinda confusing, isn't it? After the two fight, the Guardians from the previous games appear to further damage Omega, allowing Zero to deal the final blow, effectively destroying his original body once and for all. With Zero being knocked out in the explosion, X reveals himself one last time to tell him that Zero does not need his guidance anymore and that he will never come back again. Also, why not shown the Guardians just died? Yeah, they just fucking exploded and died. Great. I think they deserved a little better, to be quite honest. Dark Elf, now Mother Elf, since all the corrupted energy left her, brings back Zero to the Resistance base and flies away, never to be heard of again. What a happy and conclusive ending, right? Yeah, except they made a 4th one. I think the story in this game was the best one yet. It had great character motivations, Vile was a creepy and intimidating villain, and the most important thing of all, this story had a great sense of urgency, and it really felt like what you do as a player, or Zero for that matter, really mattered in the context of the world this game is set in. The 4th game tried to replicate it, which it did well, but not quite as good as this one. I think Omega is the one aspect that makes this game the most beloved and the most memorable out of the bunch, since the gameplay hasn't really been changed all that much. As I said, the core mechanics have not been changed at all, And why should they? Zero moves perfectly, having a great movement speed and awesome dash, easy to perform and control wall jump, etc, etc. His slashes while dashing are still extremely rewarding since they do more damage than normal slashes, but with a higher risk in getting hit by the enemy, and they are just so satisfying and cool to use. All in all, Zero still controls perfectly, just as in the other entries. What's more to say? However, there are some changes they made to the game's mechanics, not many, but enough to be mentioned on here. The first one being Cyber Elves. Cyber Elves were a feature I never really used, not even in this playthrough, since I think they destroyed the game's difficulty, and its difficulty is the main thing I love about the series. But here are a few changes they made to the system. There are two types of Cyber Elves now, Satellite and Fusion. Fusion Elves are the same as before, they're on the one-time use elf, which means that you pretty much kill them after using them. Good on you. Satellite elves are permanently hovering around you, giving you passive effects, and you can have up to 2 elves around you at a time. Also, they can be used infinitely, so you can make the game your bitch the whole way through. Awesome! Next new thing is the secret disc system. This is pretty easy to explain, since the secret discs are pretty much only collectibles you find throughout the stages, with some giving you some extra lore, others awarding you with E-crystals or permanent suit power-ups, as is a Mega Man X since he was staple at this point. The weirdest addition in my opinion is the cyberspace, which is just there to make the game even easier and to unlock a secret boss, which I'll talk about later. Once you enter cyberspace, every single enemy you kill drops a health pack, insta-kill spikes are covered so you can't die, and the whole screen is filled with a green tint. The only downside to it is that you can't go through doors while in cyberspace, so you have to leave if you want to progress? I have no idea why this is in the game. It's never addressed by anyone and doesn't serve any purpose whatsoever, if not for the awesome hidden boss it leads to. The last big gameplay change is that the chain rod was replaced by the recoil rod, which is basically the triple rod with a few more features. If you charge it up and aim to the ground, it bounces Zero off of the ground and enemies. If you charge it and aim at a block that can be destroyed or moved, well, it will just do that. And that's pretty much it. Compared to the chain rod, this is pretty underwhelming in my opinion. But all in all, again, this game has amazing gameplay as they went with if it ain't broke don't fix it, which I'm very happy with, since there was nothing that needed to be changed. Only thing that I'm still bothered about is the mission system, since I preferred the way the first Zero game handled its missions compared to the other ones. There are no repercussions to losing multiple times in Zero 2 to 4. In 1, if you lost all your lives, the game was like, fuck you, you didn't manage to save us, everybody died, so this mission cannot be replayed anymore, which makes sense if you think about it, and I loved that. A big thing I really do love about this game though is the way they handle special moves and power-ups. After beating every boss you get a body, foot or head chip. Pretty simple, right? But if you manage to clear the stage well and get an A rank or higher, the game awards you with an awesome special EX move as a reward for you beating the stage like a pro. I love that they reward you like that only if you play well. It makes you want to get better and adds a shit ton of replay value. It's a great addition that luckily also made it to the 4th Zero game. To wrap this section up, let's talk difficulty. Let's say you decide not to use the Cyber Elves or cyberspace. Then this one is the hardest game yet, but for all the right reasons, unlike previous entries. The enemy placement, the stages and their themes are all executed and handled greatly, with the difficulty gradually increasing with every new set of bosses. This game did difficulty the best out of all the 4 games, by reducing unfair instant kills to a minimum. Instant kills are still in the game, but they are all fair and only require an understanding of the core game mechanics to be avoided, so it's all good. This game is just a blast throughout thanks to all of this, but what would a game be without its soundtrack? Luckily, this game also improves on this aspect in every way imaginable. This game's soundtrack has many amazing tracks, and even the ones that aren't that amazing are still very enjoyable to listen to and always fit to the level's themes and the mood they're trying to present. It was hard to pick 3 of my favorite songs of this OST, but here are my picks. Don't think I don't like the other ones, these ones are just the themes that instantly come to mind when I think about this game. All these games being so similar in design makes writing this review pretty easy, to be quite honest. Yeah, as you would expect, not much changes in terms of level design. Levels are still very difficult the first time through, but are constructed in a way that a pro player can easily dash through the whole stage without stopping or getting hurt thanks to Zero's varied and smooth movement options. The game is such a blast to play thanks to this and never starts being boring because this type of level design throws obstacle after obstacle at you in mere seconds. Even though I played through this game a lot, and I mean a lot, I never get bored because I find new ways of traversing the stages and mastering them as I do. Other than that, there's honestly not all that much to say about the level design anymore, so it's time to move on to the meat of the game. The bosses. The bosses in this game are very exciting and, to be honest, my favorite ones in the series, apart from a few in 0-4, which I will talk about next time. We're doing it as per usual, each boss gets like one little sentence, yada yada yada, you have seen the other two videos, you know how I do. Also, I'm not a native English speaker, so bear with me on this one. Let's go. Omega. Great intro boss, teaching you to dash under certain attacks and how to avoid every kind of attack in general. Great start. Blazing Blizzard. A cakewalk and the first boss you should tackle, a total pushover and a great start to the actual game. Children in Arabita. Same as Blizzard, to be quite frank, just has zero reaction time a bit better since you have to rely on audio cues to avoid his attacks from above. Hellbat Shield. Shield? I don't know. Pretty easy if you know to dodge under his bat swarm, but a ton of fun. I wonder where he keeps all his bats though. Death Dance Mantisk. The first boss I had problems with since he is fast, jumps around and his moves cover a lot of the screen. He is the first real difficulty curve and easily the hardest and the most exciting of the first 4 bosses. Anubis Necromancer the 5th. I always had a soft spot for this boss in my heart. He is not hard but a lot of fun to fight. Blizzard Stokodov R. Just as easy as the first one, fighting him with the fire chip is like fighting DSP gaming in any game ever. Hunter Machine R. Fuck this boss. Copy X Mark II. This marks the second time we kill Copy X, and he's just as fun, albeit still not very difficult to fight. Glacier Le Cocteau. What is it with bosses who have a weakness to fire being total pushovers when fought with their weakness? Voltile Biblio. Easiest boss in the game. If he hurts you, you probably have the reaction time of a dead eel. Cubit Foxtar. Fun, challenging and keeps you on your toes. Fireballs can be annoying to avoid, but it's great fun. Tritista Calvarian. Somehow, after all these years, I still feel intimidated by his sheer size for some reason, which leads me to mess up and not being able to kill him without getting hit. His attack patterns are pretty weird too. If you think that I forgot the Twin Elves, I did not. I just found their boss fights to be so uneventful and boring that I didn't even really consider them boss fights despite the health bars. Well, since I went through all the bosses, let's go and talk about the final one. The final stage, as is tradition, is another boss rush stage. Lame, you say? Yeah it is. Why is there no final stage in a Mega Man game in which all of the previous bosses are combined to make for one super boss with all of their powers? That would be super cool, but no, another boring boss rush stage with nothing interesting in between, but hey, at least we got some late game spikes to fuck up your life count. Looking past that, this game was probably the strongest final boss in the series. I'm not sure if the one from 0-4 is better than this one or not. I will tell you for sure once I talk about 4, but aside from that, this finale is amazing. The final boss fight starts out with the Golden Omega flexing on you with his grill, but you will easily notice that this is just as easy as the first encounter with him. What's going on here? After beating him, the entire stage collapses and Zero falls to the ground, as a gigantic Reploid emerges, revealing himself as Omega's true form, who looks fucking sick, by the way. This fight is harder, but nothing to really get frustrated over, since all of his attacks are easily telegraphed and avoidable, but for a GBA game, this is a visual spectacle. After beating him, you are done with the game, and nope, just kidding, this wasn't even his final form. And Omega emerges again, now with Zero's body but a shit ton of moves. If you played the X series, you probably remember most of them since they were part of Zero's original moveset, which is a nice and cool touch. The fight is fast, frantic, and keeps you on your toes. It's not the hardest thing in the world, but it's tons of fun and I love it. There are some people who are against the whole idea of Omega and the whole real body plot twist, but I genuinely really enjoy it. I mean, it's very dark, sure, but it fits the overall atmosphere of the Zero series and makes sense in this world's context, considering the huge amount of super interesting lore, which has sadly never been expanded on in a real game yet. Come on, Inti Creates, I would love an Elf Wars game. I think it's easy to see why Zero 3 is the most beloved one of the franchise, because it is, in my opinion, and not just in my opinion, the best one when it comes to story, setting, atmosphere, tone, bosses, and just overall game feel. This game is my favorite GBA game out there and easily my top 10 games of all time. I'm never bored when playing it and I play it a lot. It's just an amazing game and you're hurting yourself by not having played it. As some of my viewers pointed out, since I'm a fucking idiot, the DS collection is one on the internet for like $30 and everyone has a DS nowadays. So if you have not played the games yet and own a DS, which you do, don't lie, you own a DS, $30 for the 4 games, the best 4 games on GBA even, great games, it's nothing. $30 is nothing. I highly recommend you to play all of them. I hope you enjoyed this video. The next one won't take a year to make, I promise. Expect the 04 review in a month, tops. I'm already starting to work on it. And feel free to suggest more games for me to review. A sub would be appreciated if you enjoy my content, cause if you do, you wanna stay updated, right? See ya when my next video drops or in the comments of this video. Feel free to just start a conversation in here. Until then, bye guys.